Welcome again, guys. Thanks for listening. I wanted to chat a little bit about accountability and pointing not the finger, but pointing the thumb. I had a conversation today that really kind of led me to this, and I think it'd be a great topic. And I think it's something that could be technical and tactical that we can teach, and how to teach leaders not to be accountable, but also to teach accountability and therefore duplicate and grow their situation. You know, how do I speak to a person that wants to grow, but doesn't necessarily know how to or have the tools? So I'm going to break this conversation down and kind of go through the examples. Welcome back to Unlocked. Thanks for listening. If you've been on for a minute, I just appreciate you for just, being a part of the team. If you can help send a YouTube video to somebody or subscribe, maybe the Spotify, I'm not sure what platform you're using, but share it on your group chat. This helps especially for people that are starting, building a team, and they want to have what specific conversations they can have. So I was talking to this lady on Melanie on our crew. And, Melanie has been doing a fantastic job selling a lot. She's been doing a lot of sales and she's been growing, and I can tell she wants more. She wants to be a leader. She wants to grow faster. So yesterday she had a rough day. She didn't sell anything. So I asked her, just going to run through the conversation, and I asked her, hey, Melanie, what do you think you could have done better? What didn't go right? The first answer she had is the territory. She said, I think the territory was a little too small for all the people that we were in, and I think the territory was too small. I'm like, okay, what else? She said, well, the person I was walking with said that, in this area, they usually don't answer. I was like, okay. And so then I kind of said, hey, Melanie, and again, this is important that you learn to create like a safe space with the person, because this is the first interaction I have with her about being more accountable and becoming better. So even though I know she's wrong and I know that's not the answer, I don't want to crush her right there, because I do believe that she's not making an excuse because she wants to. I believe that she's making an excuse because she doesn't know. So I kind of repeated myself and I said, hey, Melanie, I asked her, what do you think you could do better? I didn't ask you, what could the territory have done to be better for you? Or what could this other girl say? And she said, okay. And I can tell she's receiving, she's like, oh, so is this my fault? And I'm like, yes, it's your fault. But again, there's ways to approach this, right? So I kind of gave her an example. We talked about things you can control and things you cannot. And I explained to her, look, as a leader, Melanie, in order for you to advance, you want to point the finger at yourself versus pointing the finger at other issues. I said, Melanie, can you notice? Can you realize? Can you admit that I asked you what you can do better, and your first response was something else? It was not about you. It was about the territory. Your second response was also not about you. It was about somebody else. Do you realize that that is a trend? Then maybe it's not your fault. Maybe maybe this is what we learn in school. This is the things we hear, is we are kind of taught to not, take blame for stuff. But I said, if you want to be a coach, if you want to be a leader of people, we have to learn to take accountability. And in my head, I'm thinking, now I'm kind of losing her, because she probably really does believe that the territory is wrong. And this is a battle I'm not fighting today. I'm fighting the territory battle because, of course, the territory has nothing to do with the sales. And of course, there's nobody else's fault other than hers, the fact that she didn't do well. But I'm not fighting that battle today. Her confidence is at not the highest level. I want to fight that battle and teach her the truth about the territory when her confidence is high. For now, I want to help her redirect her energy so that she can actually have a good day today. So I say, listen, can you control? And so we went back to these questions. I'm like, Melanie, and this is maybe something you can do to create a safe space in these conversations with your people. Instead of destroying their excuse immediately, which I've done, you want to almost admit it, because that's not the point that I'm trying to fix today. So I'm saying, Melanie, probably the territory, it was probably bad. It was probably small, and you're right. And probably there was a lot of people that I'm not answering. I'm just trying to get Melanie, I'm trying to get this person to reason with me. So Melanie, even with territory being small, even with a lot of people not answering, do you think we could have, did you talk to anybody? Was there any customers that you talked to? Yes. Okay, that's positive. Could any of those people, could they have bought the product that you're selling? Yes. Okay, why did they not? Let's focus on that. So I'm gonna ask you one more time. Melanie, what do you think you could have done maybe some improvements on? And only then, after the third time, she said, I could have been more enthusiastic. And then she said, I could have listened to my recordings, because she records herself, very smart, could listen to my recordings more at night to pinpoint what could be done better. Like, beautiful. Now, these two things we can control. So now I went backwards and I said, hey, Melanie, this is very good job, by the way. That's very important. Now let's go backwards. Can you control the territory being too small? No. Can you make it bigger today? No. You're assigned an area, that's the area you work. Can you control the amount of people answering? Not really. You can knock a door louder, you can ring the doorbell more, but you really can't control how many people are home. So when you focus your energy, a percentage of your brain goes to focus on things that you cannot control, it always leads to frustration. When you focus on things you can control, it leads to hope. As we know, having a great attitude and having a great mindset in the field is way more important than even the words come out of your mouth. This is why like a Girl Scout selling cookies is successful almost all the time, and kids selling lottery tickets door to door, they're great because they're full of enthusiasm and youth and just excitement. And whatever they say actually doesn't matter. It's just they're transferring that excitement. So instead of you focusing on the pitch or what you're saying, you would focus on your attitude and the way you protect your attitude, because somebody's like, well, how do I protect it? How do I control it? How do I make myself be positive? This is how you do it. The way you do it is you only choose to focus on things you can control. So I'm saying, Melanie, even if the territory is smaller, which I'll give it to you, and it isn't, but it's not the battle I'm fighting today. Even if the territory is smaller, even if it's true that no one's answering, I can't control that, so I shouldn't focus on it. I should never focus on things I can't control, even if they're factors. I'm sure it was harder to sell because of that. I'll give that to you. But you're saying that I could be more you could have been more enthusiastic, and you're saying you could have studied your recordings more along the day. Let's just put 100% of our energy and focus into that, because the chances are, if I am more enthusiastic and I pinpoint my recordings a little bit better, I have a guaranteed chance of improvement. That's a fact. Let's focus all of our energy there. It doesn't make any sense to focus our energy on things we can't control because it leads to frustration. So we'll focus our energy in things that we can control, which leads to hope. I'm not saying it guarantees the sales. I'm not saying it guarantees improvement, but it does guarantee hope because you're focusing on things that you have a direct impact on. So the analogy I gave her is, when you have a long distance relationship, or if you're away from your spouse for a little bit for travel, and I'm thinking about, for 2 more weeks, I'm not going to see her. And, my wife is out of town or I'm out of town and I'm not going to see her for 2 weeks. And I'm texting her at night like I'm sad and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not seeing you and what a bad day and blah, blah, blah. Or I can focus on the fact that, and I can't control that. I can't see her tonight. We're out of a different town. We're miles away. Or I can focus on the fact that we are seeing each other in 2 weekends and there's 14 days left. And I can pull up a little calendar with a 14 and rip it up. And the next day is 13 and the next day 12 and send her a countdown, 12 days to see you. And I can focus on the fact that I will see her. I just have to choose where do I focus on? And by nature, human beings focus on negatives. This is why for sales, this is way more important than teaching people the pitch, way more important than, and by the way, this is for people that are advancing, people that are already selling. This is what people need to learn, how to manage their attitude. How do they manage it? Is by deciding where they focus on. How do they decide what to focus on? Is by understanding, even if they had a good day, understanding that they have to point the thumb, not the finger. When they point the thumb, they will find reasons to improve. Even if they had a great day, when they point the finger, they will find things that probably did affect, but are irrelevant because I can't change. I can't change the weather. I can't change this. I can't change the system going down. I can't change anything. I can't change the government. I can't change the thing. I need to focus on what can I control. And that's how I influence my attitude. So today, as a follow-up, I'm doing a very thorough, studied, methodical, careful plan with Melanie to protect her enthusiasm. And me as the leader, I'll go in with her, or I will make sure she talks to me every hour. I will maybe give her a goal of talking to 10 people and make her laugh, or taking a selfie with the 10 funniest customers, or telling a joke every 30 minutes to somebody. And I would give her an enthusiastic, focused goal because that is her game plan. And I got to make sure today she sees improvement and hopefully gets a sale or two, because then I can use this as proof the next day, which is now the most important. How you teach the group is using the success story. Melanie had a bad day. She thought it was a territory. Territory was not the problem, but still, even if it was, she decided to focus on the things she could control. She focused on being more enthusiastic the next day. The next day, she was more enthusiastic. Melanie, what'd you do? Well, I had a game plan with you, and what I did is I did a joke every hour to all of the customers, and I took a selfie with them, and I just focused on being happy and having fun and being enthusiastic. And how did you do? I did 2 sales. Interesting. I focused on the things that I can control, and I magically created results. Are they connected? Maybe, maybe not. The reality is that they are, but it doesn't matter what you believe in. The matter is I chose to focus on something I can control on. I had help from somebody, my leader, my upline, my help, my trainer, my coach, and I got the results. And then I used that as a success story to influence and teach other people. Now, Melanie's a good leader. She was training other people. But even as a leader, again, human brains are designed to point the finger at things. I don't believe Melanie was coming to me and making an excuse. I just think she didn't know. And now she does. It's very important that I help her see results when she does focus on the right things. Because again, no matter if it was true or not, the excuse they make, it does not help. When I'm focusing on things that I can't control, it always leads to frustration. All frustration comes from a poor set of expectations, or it comes from focusing on the things you cannot control. I always want to choose to focus my direction and my attention on something I can control. This is leadership, is I have to teach people how to think. And I have to teach people how to blame themselves and point the finger. It might be a little bit of a harder pill to swallow. I could see Melanie's face today looking at me like, I tried really hard and it's still my fault. That is leadership, and that is okay, because the teacher needs to take responsibility for the student's test every time. And that's something we can teach. That's something that you teach every day, one-on-one with your people, teaching them what to focus on. That's how you protect your attitude, and using that as a success story, and then following up methodically with a game plan to make sure they see improvement the next day after listening to you, so that I can use that story and teach the group. This is Leadership 101. Hopefully it helps, and hopefully you can use it in your next few conversations, and I'll see you at the next one.